Most people don't get injured because they're weak. Most people get injured because they actually don't understand load. So when they get injured or they get pain, they'll often stop, or they'll just get back to it and push through the pain because they don't want to rest. Hi, I'm Marissa and I'm the lead physiotherapist and co-founder of By Design Physio and Strength Training in Little Hobart, Tasmania. In the clinic, I work with active clients and recreational athletes, but also athletes to get them back to real life, but also their sport as fast as possible. People who don't just want pain relief, they actually want to move well, they want to recover capacity and strength, and they also want to do it as quickly and safely as possible so it doesn't happen again. Over time here at the clinic, we've developed a framework that helps people understand why they're injured and what's going on, helps them get back to training and build up effectively and safely and pretty quickly really, and also build resilience in patterns that matter the most to them, but also to their lifestyle. Today, I'm going to walk you through that system and I hope you take something from it. This is the system that I use when I go out into the community and I run workshops to raise brand awareness, as you do as an owner, but also teach people that it's a lot easier to rehab something. It's not a big scary world out there. It's very complex, sure, but I can help you simplify it so you can apply the knowledge and get back to the gym or to training or real life as fast as possible. So whether you're dealing with an injury, well, who isn't, or just want to prevent future injuries, or just want to understand how to use your body more effectively and train smarter, then this video hopefully will give you the clarity that you need. So first of all, let's start with why injuries actually happen. I like to categorize this as the 3 C's. Nice and simple, easy to remember. We've got capacity, coordination, and connection. Capacity is as simple as it sounds. Your body has a certain level of capacity to do work. It has muscle or tissue tolerance that can handle a certain load and or volume. And it's often, did you do the thing too much? Did you lift too much? Or did you do it too soon? Most of the time, injuries in the capacity bucket is you push past one of those boundaries that you're able to do. And a lot of people refer to the graph of dysfunction for this one. So let me give you an example of what capacity looks like in everyday life. Think of carrying groceries. Everybody has to carry groceries at some point. Maybe you don't, but I know a lot of people that do. Think of it where you've taken one little small bag from the car to your house and it was super light and you had no issues. That's great. But now consider carrying 6 bags in one hand, 6 bags in the other hand, and a lot of them have heavy Coke cans in them and soap and detergent and tins of beans. They're a lot heavier than normal. And just say this is the first time you've done that in about 6 months, you could be at risk of getting an injury if you haven't trained for this movement before, such as farmer's carries, suitcase carries, just carrying things for practice, or you're used to only carrying 1 small bag in each hand and now you've got 6. So capacity is reached there. In the community, in real life, if you aren't used to doing something and you go and lift more or do it more frequently than normal, this is where you can get an injury in the capacity bucket. Same at the gym. You can carry or lift something that's too heavy for you, something like a back squat. Say you're going for a 1 or a 3 RM and you've hit 60 kilos and I feel really good. And then 70 is like a big jump for you, but you just do it and then you hurt something. That is pushing past your level of capacity, and that's how you can get an injury. The next one's coordination. And this is talking about control and sequencing movement patterns into the right joint. This one's really interesting because a lot of people go, you're weak. It's like, is it a capacity issue here or is it actually a coordination issue? Meaning you might use your wrist muscles more than you use your shoulder because your body has to get things done at the end of the day, and it does. But sometimes it does it poorly if you haven't learned how to do that movement properly and your load is just exceeded, so you'll just go to using what you know best. And a lot of the time that's okay. And sometimes when you've reached your limit, it just doesn't work like that anymore. Examples in real life is weeding the garden. Just say you've grabbed a few weeds over time and you're just using your wrist and your elbow and repeat. That will use your hand and your forearm muscles, maybe even a few bicep, tricep muscles, but those muscles are gonna fatigue very quickly. So unless you have a good pattern where you recruit your shoulder blade to do more of a rowing pattern to pull the weeds out, these bad boys will always be the one that you use because they're smaller, they're easier, they're the joints that you're calling to. If you ultimately want to weed for long periods of time and you don't want to have RSI in the wrist or golfers and tennis elbow in the elbow, then you have to be sure to be using your bigger muscles like your scapular, periscapular muscles and your deltoids and your big back muscles like your lats and your rhomboids. If you don't use those, you're not calling to them, you're not using them as much as you should, then this is how we get injuries lower down the chain. At the gym, that happens very commonly in bench presses and rowing activities, especially bent over rows and isolated cable rows, lat pull downs, pull-ups. These bad boys always jack up people's forearms, maybe even feeling it in the bicep a lot of the time, but really they don't feel their lats. They don't feel their mid-back because they aren't actually activating their scapular muscles. If that's you, then we need to work on scapular control and coordinating movement. The last one's connection, and this is a really foggy topic for a lot of people. A lot of the reason why certain things just hurt, even though you don't exceed load, and also you're using the right things. And this comes back to that brain to muscle connection or mind muscle connection. Our lovely brain is part of our central nervous system, and it goes down into our spine, and those little roots that come off the side, they're our nerves, and they go down to our fingers and our toes, past lots of different things on the way down. That's how our brain, we think about something and then we actually do something thereafter, tell ourselves what to do. Whereas the other feed forward response, or from our fingers, we feel things, and that goes to the brain and we actually know what it feels like. Hot and cold, or pain, different sensations such as smells, that's also a feed forward. So things that go from the peripheral to the brain, but also from the brain to the peripheral, that is what we call that connection. Somewhere along that pathway, the connection is a bit faulty, or that nerve is sending the wrong message, then you're gonna have issues with pain, because pain can be hypersensitive, or what we call allodynia, where it's fake pain, and that can come from fear of movement, certain memories elicit pain for you, and or trauma in the past, and you haven't reconnected that pathway. With physiotherapy, if you can have graded exposure back to movement, or CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, CFT, cognitive functional retraining with movement, then you can reestablish that lovely nerve pathway. An example of this one is deadlifts. So people go, I don't deadlift, it hurts my back. They just think of it and their back starts hurting. That is a connection issue. You haven't addressed the root cause of your pain. In real life, that could be bending over without bending your knees. So your hips are sent back and you go to bend over and you hurt your back, or you feel your back hurts. And even though there's no damage done, you haven't lifted anything heavy, and you also thought you used your hips, then your knees and your ankles. So it's not a capacity or a coordination issue, it's more of that connection. If you can identify the issue or the injury in your body, try to have a think now, which category is going into? Is it a capacity issue? Is it a coordination issue? Or is it more of that connection? You have fear of movement. So now let's talk about the differentiation between different pain words. So when you go to physio and you haven't really had to think about where you have pain, it might be vague, or it's there. And that is a very diffuse pain. And the physio might be able to give you a few words to help narrow it down. But if your pain vocabulary is short, then it is harder for you to identify where your pain is, what it feels like, and it'll be more random. If you've had it for a long time, you knew how you did it, and you've been able to link it to certain words, then that's easier for body awareness to get you back on track and start chipping away back into training. So first of all, it's building that awareness of where is the pain, what does it feel like, when does it come on, what makes it worse, what makes it better, and that's just building your pain vocabulary. And if you've had pain for more than 2 weeks, let's say, you probably need to start identifying some bigger, different pain words to build on your vocabulary. Good words at the gym, or when we're training, or when we're doing rehab, good words are tightness, stiffness, aching, burning, dull can even be a good word, or just fatigue. They're all safe words. You describe your pain like that, you're like, oh, that's okay. That's the muscle working. That's not anything overloading the joint. That's nothing sinister, such as a disc irritation. Whereas big scary words that we want to look out for are sharp, shooting, tingling, numbness, pins and needles, twinging, stabbing, shooting, electric shocks. Those are big scary words, and we don't want to have those. If you feel those, that's a warning sign that probably hasn't been listened to with all these little safe words over here for a while. And it's like, okay guys, we need to do something here. There's something going on that's wrong. If you identify those, see someone. If you don't, then you're probably safe in a good bucket. So that moves on to our traffic light system then. And so once you've identified your pain, and a lot of people ask for the pain scale, is it 0 out of 10? Is it 2 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 10 out of 10? That's really hard because some people are really descriptive minds. So you need more of a visual, you like colors or you like words, whereas you can't just point to a 2. You're like, what does that even mean? So if you have to pick a number, you should get some descriptors thrown in there with that so it helps you identify. Some people have the visual analog scale where they've got smiley face is a 0 out of 10. A little bit concerned face looks more like the 2 or a 3 out of 10. And then your really sad face, it's probably quite red, it's crying, it looks really distraught. That's your 9 or your 10 out of 10 pain. When we're doing a traffic light system, you need to know some of your words as a precursor and or your visual analog scale of how you rate your pain. Because the traffic light then is you take that and you apply it when you're going back to training so you know how hard to push, or how many reps to do, or how often you should do something. Because if you don't have that, you're just going in blind. And that often will give you that random pain, it's come back again. So you need to identify, where is it, how does it feel, what creeps on. So things I've said before. A green light, like traffic lights, is good to go. So pain is less than that 2 out of 10. You're smiling, you might be a little bit like, a little bit worried, but it doesn't linger. You feel completely fine when you're doing a row. You might get some ache or you might get a light burn or some fatigue. That is safe movement. All those big safe words. That's a green light. You have no issues at all. So if you have a shoulder injury, doing leg exercises, completely fine. Yellow is where you start to creep above a 2 out of 10 pain, anywhere up to a 5 out of 10 pain. It's like deep ache, you're doing your row exercise, but something doesn't feel right on the side that's injured, but the other side feels fine. So when you compare it, it's not the same. It might go sharp towards the last few reps of your set. For instance, you're doing 8 and at the 8th or the 9th rep, it starts to feel a bit sharp, then that's when you should stop. And it's still a yellow light if as soon as you stop, it goes away. That's a yellow light. It comes back after training, but within 24 hours, it's also back down to 0 or 2. It ramps a little bit and then it comes back down. We don't want it to go ramp up and then it really is irritated over the next 24 to 48 to 72 hours. You didn't listen to your bod and you push past something. So that no longer would be a yellow light and it blends into the red light. Now, red light, as you can imagine, please stop. That's the sign. That's what the traffic lights say. So do that. Stopping is it hurts to do something. It doesn't feel right. It's those big, scary words. It's a 6, 7, 8, 9 out of 10 pain. Like you're like, that doesn't feel safe. Do not push through pain. That is a red light. Another red light is you do an exercise. It's sort of yellow lighty. It feels okay. It fatigues. It's a little bit sharp, but then afterwards it gets way worse. Or the next day it's worse and the next day it's worse. So it's lingering for way longer than it should. And the biggest red light is when it aches at nighttime. If you are aching at nighttime, you have pissed something off pretty bad. So you need to identify what that movement was. And I guarantee you know what it was. If someone had to put a gun to your head, you'd be able to answer what it was. So don't do that thing. Why push through if it means settling it down for 2 weeks and then on the 3rd week, you can start to build back up? I don't know why people push through these pains for 52 weeks and then now they've had pain for 10 years. It's probably because they've been misguided. So apologies on all physio behalves if you've had a crappy physio.